Hey, welcome to Keight Crafts. I'm Kate. Today I would like to share with you some new to me products. Let's get started. So to kick things off, I am using a Heffy Doodle stencil, and this one is called Broad Strokes. And I'm using some Distress ink in Kitsch Flamingo and Villanous Potion. Now, I owned one Heffy Doodle stamp set for the longest time. And then I came across this stencil and I was just like, wow, I kind of need this stencil. I think this stencil is really cool. It I don't know how to explain it. It just caught my eye and it was one of those things that I just had to have. So I ordered it with a couple of other things and I've probably stenciled 3 or 4 panels with it before I decided I wanted to settle on this one and we're gonna go with it. So yeah, all I'm doing is going back and forth pretty heavy-handed with my Distress inks here. Now you could use regular lawn fawn inks, you could use oxide inks, but today I wanted to use a little bit of the Distress ink. Now, I'm ink blending on some Strathmore Vellum smooth paper, and it's not smooth like Bristol smooth. This has got a little bit of a texture to it. And I find that when I'm using like Distress inks or Lawn Fine inks on this paper, it almost gives it like I don't know how to explain it. It almost looks fuzzy, like some kind of velvet almost. I don't know. It just looks fuzzy to me. And I really like the texture with the dye-based inks and yeah, so that's why we're using these inks today. Now I could have gone ahead and I could have used the Distress Oxide inks with this, but I wanted to try my hand with the Distress inks. Now, I'm still venturing into the world of the Lawn Fawn inks as well as the Distress inks because if you've seen a lot of my other videos, I really do love the look of the oxides, and that's what I learned on, and that's what I continue to use, and I finally ended up getting a set of ink blenders like the ones that you see here for Christmas, so I can use my Distress inks now, and I have a um, separate ink blenders for my other inks as well, because you don't want to use your regular ink blending with the Distress oxides because it's a different formula, and the same with the Distress inks. They're a different formula too because they're water reactive. Now, I'm assuming you can use water reactive inks in different brands in your blending brushes, but don't quote me on that because I only own Distress inks, Distress oxide inks, and some lawn fawn inks, well, most of them anyway. And then I have a few archival inks, which I learned the hard way what the difference of them are after having them for so long. And yeah, there's plenty of videos out there describing all the different types of inks. And, maybe one day I'll try my hand at, you know, expressing my knowledge with what I know on all the different types of inks outside of just giving a little blurb through my video. So all I've done here is I've shifted my stencil down a little bit and I'm going over some of that pink with that Villainous Potion and some of the white cardstock with the the Villainous Potion. I can't talk. I'm still sick. I've been working off of this sickness for over a week now, and at the time of this recording, I'm still a little croaky in the voice, so you'll have to excuse me. So once I get back on the camera here, we are going to do a little peel and reveal so you guys get an idea of how that looks. And I think that looks so stinking cool. So next I'm going to take a panel that's a little bit bigger than the one that I used. Now I ended up cutting that one down to 4 by 5 1/4, and this panel is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I'm just taking some of this Distress Soot ink and going around the edges. And I like this because it's dark, but it's not black. I mean, this is black, but it's almost like a soot, if you will. I guess that's why they call it soot. So I wanted to create a panel that went in behind my card that made it pop a little bit, and I don't have a lot of colored cardstock, so I tend to make my own, which, I use the Strathmore Vellum cardstock because I accidentally bought it instead of the Bristol Smooth. So I've almost done the first book because it was like a buy one get one free or something like that, and I bought two of the wrong ones. So I told myself I wasn't allowed to buy any more Nina Solar White or Hammermill or Strathmore Bristol Smooth until I got through all of this stupid vellum, which it's kind of growing on me. So next, we are going to be using this adorable little cat from Heffy Doodle. This is another Heffy Doodle item that I had. I've had this one for a very long time. This one is called Mewniverse. I believe it is still available on the Heffy Doodle website. I know the stencil is. I'm not too versed in Heffy Doodle, but I'd like to be. I kind of like a lot of their stuff, and I've seen a lot of their stuff before, but it's never really fully been on my radar until recently when I came across this stencil and another nesting die that they have, which has stitches and rounded corners, and you're going to see that one very soon in another video, I promise you. I have another video in the making with some more Heffy Doodle products that I'd recently come into in my greedy little paws. So all I'm doing here is I'm going in with my end markers. These are my Copic markers, and I'm creating a little gray cat, which I think is going to be my little Nova. Now, if some of you follow along with me on Instagram, you've seen some of my little spicy cat Nova photos, and she has that smug little look on her face, regardless if she's done good or not. Usually she's getting up to some sort of mischief and trouble, and she's always got that snarky little face going like, what are you gonna do about it? I'm just too darn cute. So next I'm taking an outside in stitch circle die, and I've cut out my little focal point panel here, and we are going to use the sentiment from the stamp set itself, and we are going to use the little cat in the basket to kind of give us an idea of where we need to stamp our sentiment. So this sentiment will read, "You are the best in the whole Mewnivers." And I thought this was just really cute and really fitting, and I really, really, really love this stencil, and I just really love how this card turned out. And I'm afraid that I might have to get more Heffy Doodle for my collection because this is just too darn cute. And I've been watching a lot of Jordy's Cards videos, and she has a ton of Heffy Doodle videos on her channel, and they are just too stinking cute. So once we've got the sentiment all stamped out, I've gone ahead and I've removed everything there, and we are just going to go around the edges with some of that Kitsch Flamingo that I used with the stencil, and we're just going to go lightly around the edges until I'm happy with how much of the saturation we've got. And it'll kind of create like a little bit of a focal point with the white in the center. So I'm not being careful, I'm being actually a little kind of sloppy with this. And I just want that pink to come in just like that. And I'll remove the magnet there and give myself a little bit more. So once we're done with that, we are going to add a little bit of glue to the kitty cat basket. And then we're going to use our reverse tweezers because I've got fat fingers and sometimes they get in the way. And these little reverse tweezers are fantastic to have. So I thought about gluing the cat down by itself, but then I thought, you know what, maybe I should use a little bit of these foam squares that I have. They're fairly thin, and it gives a little bit of dimension, and I just like how the cat pops out of this. So once I've gone ahead and cut them down to the sizes that I need, I like to cut them right off of the paper like that, so that way I don't get too sticky with my scissors, and I can get the thinness as much as I can. I'll move that release tape or release paper, and then we're going to double stick it. That way I've got a little bit of wiggle room if I need it. And then we'll give that one a little plop down. And then I'll go ahead and I will bring in that little ball of yarn that I colored, and we will add that right there. And then once we're done with that, we're going to bring in a little bit of Winkostella, just to add a little bit of interest to that ball of yarn. And we'll put a little bit on the top of the basket because why not? I thought it was kind of cute. So once we're done with that, we are going to bring in the Sakura Glaze pen in gray, and we're going to go over her nose. And then I've got a white Sakura Jelly Roll pen, and we're just going to add a little bit of a detail. Careful to, not wreck my project completely. I've got a scratch piece of paper on the side there that I'm just kind of trying to get the ink flowing a little bit. I still haven't quite mastered how to get the ink flowing on a regular basis, so I try to bear with what I have. So off camera, I've gone ahead and used a Mod Heart stitched background die by Mama Elephant that I had, and I'm just going around the edges with some glue because this is where all the magic happens. Now, you could have used some foam tape to add to the back of this panel, but I thought I would go with some liquid glue. I wanted to keep this one flat and just keep a little bit of the interest towards the little gray cat and the panel itself. So I'll give that a good mash down. And then I've gone ahead off camera and added in some foam strips to the back of our circle panel here. And once my fat fingers have pulled off all of the release tape, we are going to double stick with some liquid glue, adding a few dots just across, just to give us enough glue in case we need to move this around a little bit. And then I'll stand above my project, figure out where it is that I want my panel piece here, and then we'll give it a little wiggle and give it a little pat down. And then we'll double stick our card panel onto our card base with some glue and some tape runner. Careful to go around the edges so that way we get a good adhesion around edges, and then we'll line everybody up, and then we will give that a good mash down. And once that's done, our card is complete. But first, I thought about adding some embellishments, and I had this gel pen still sitting, well, glaze pen, I should say, still sitting on my desk from when I did the little glaze on her nose. And I thought, well, it'd be fun to add some dots, and then the dots turned into little paw prints. And I thought this was just a really cute idea because it gives a little subtle dimension, and you get these adorable little paw prints. And once I'm done that, my card is complete. I really hope that you enjoyed today's projects using some new to me things. And as always, thanks for hanging out with me today. Take care.